So got a request from my friend Ronnie to make a video about the carnivore diet. If you guys haven't heard of the carnivore diet, it is the newest trend in the low carb community where you're essentially eating 100% animal flesh, to my knowledge, no dairy products and no plant foods whatsoever. And so, of course, this is being touted as like the new thing, and there's really no evidence to back it up. The only evidence we have are the Inuit, the Eskimos, who before intervention from modern society were eating a primarily flesh-based diet. We'll get into that in a little bit. But I gotta say, I've been in this health space now for about 7 years. I've seen a lot of things come and go, okay? And what happens with the low-carb movement is that it goes through iterations, because what happens is you eat this low-carb diet, you deplete all your glycogen, your stored sugar in your system, all your stored carbs. Those have a lot of water with them. They need water to store the glycogen, so you end up excreting a lot of water, but you burn through your water stores. You lose a bunch of weight really fast. And you go, oh, wow, this low-carb thing, this primal thing, this Atkins thing, this paleo thing, this keto thing, this carnivore thing, like works so well. I lost so much weight. It's just been 2 weeks. And, of course, you run into complications, okay? And a lot of people gain the weight back. If you look at, like, Jimmy Moore, living La Vida low carb, the guy is enormous now. The diet has plenty of problems. But what happens is you have a guy like Atkins, okay? He sells his Atkins diet. And, eventually, down the line, he starts looking pretty bad, right? And you see interviews from him the year 2000 or so. He's looking super obese. Guy dies in 2003. Now, there's contention over the fact of, well, did he die of a heart attack or did he die of hitting his head on the ice? Well, they found systemic atherosclerosis, hardening of his arteries, and all kinds of heart disease in his body. He weighed 250 pounds on the autopsy table, so he was definitely obese. There's some revisionist history saying that it was from like intravenous fluids that they gave him, but I don't know how you can balloon up to that much weight just from fluid being delivered intravenously. So the guy definitely died of heart disease, or he had systemic heart disease when he died, either way, at age 72 or so. So then a few years later, 2005 rolls around, low carb diet comes out. It's like all the rage, right? Low carb. And then, everybody bonks out on that. So then like 2007 rolls around, it's all about the paleo diet, right? Paleo is really hot. There's like conferences and products and paleo this and paleo that, and they make a bunch of like products out of something that's supposed to be prehistoric. I don't know how that happens. That lasts for a while, and then people go, oh, the paleo diet has problems, and I started to gain weight back, and I started to have health issues, and like, I have a buddy who's had high blood pressure for years doing the paleo diet, and he can't figure out why. And so then the primal diet came out, and it was like, oh, you got to do the primal diet. It was the paleo diet with a few tweaks, and everybody had their take on the paleo diet and how to do it differently. Meanwhile, the whole food plant-based diet has been the same thing for essentially 30 years, or really thousands of years. And so then primal kind of dies off and keto becomes the rage. Like low carb wasn't low enough, so now we got to double down and do no carb, right? And so keto is like, oh, real exciting. Just don't eat carbs at all. Just go into ketosis. Like look, I've supervised plenty of water fasts where people go into ketosis. I do not recommend eating a ketogenic diet for any disease condition, for any purpose whatsoever, weight loss, anything like that. It has way too many long-term health implications, okay? So then people are bonking out on keto. So it's like you could not possibly get around the fact that maybe the meat is bad for you. Like plenty of studies out there, but the thing is that all these low carb people, they live in their little denialist world where they want to, refute, say the China study is bunk. They don't want to look at the Epic Oxford study. They don't want to look at the Caldwell-Esselstyn studies, and they want to essentially cherry pick a lot of these studies that are industry funded, like especially around eggs and cholesterol. The Egg Board puts out more junk science than any organization out there. And so they'll do things like they'll put a study where they compare people who ate a sausage McMuffin versus an Egg McMuffin who are already fat and obese and had high cholesterol, and say, oh, look, like the Egg McMuffin doesn't really increase the cholesterol any more than the sausage McMuffin does. So I guess cholesterol, like it doesn't really matter. Like, oh, eating eggs doesn't raise cholesterol, or eating cholesterol doesn't raise your cholesterol. Well, of course, when you're like comparing it against an Egg McMuffin and people who already have super high cholesterol. The data is pretty clear with cholesterol and mortality that anything above 150 is going to increase your risk of mortality. And so in this carnivore diet, it's like got no evidence for it. But yes, there are problems with the lectins, and people don't want to hear about this in the plant-based community, right? They want to believe like, oh, lectins are fine for us, there's no problem. For digestibility, it's a serious problem, okay? Especially for people who have autoimmune diseases, who have digestive complications, who have intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. The good news is you can heal from these things and your body can acclimate to the point where it can eat these foods again. Because really up until 20, 30 years ago, it wasn't really giving anybody a problem. So that should be clue enough that there's some sort of pathology, something is amiss. And so, yes, meat may be easier on the digestion than, say, kidney beans, okay? But it doesn't make it optimal for health, all right? Because it's going to cause all kinds of problems down the road, all right? The Inuits, all right? We talked about this. The low-carb community loves to put the Inuits on this pedestal. Oh, they only ate flesh. They only ate fish and whale blubber and seal blubber, and, they never got heart disease. Well, the data is pretty clear that the average Inuit died of osteoporosis at age 38 or 39, and most people don't get heart disease or have heart attacks until they're in their 50s or 60s. So they never really lived long enough and died of other causes before they could even get heart disease. So it's a pretty intellectually dishonest argument to say, oh, they didn't get heart disease. The Inuits, they were so healthy eating all this flesh. It's like, no, they prayed to a fart god to be able to take a crap because they had no fiber in their diet. All right, and so people are doing these diets and then they're saying, oh, my blood work, it doesn't look good, but, cholesterol doesn't matter, because I'm quoting this egg board science. It says it doesn't matter. So it's a lot of fantasy. It's a lot of hemming and hawing, trying to get attention with something that has basically no scientific basis, no clinical basis. All right, guys, whole plant foods. It's really simple. Okay, if you're having trouble with digestibility, I made a book. It's called The Digestive Rescue Blueprint. You can download it and join my email list. It's really good. But the carnivore diet has essentially no science to back it up. And so people are doing an N=1 experiment right now, testing on themselves. And the data that we do have about the Inuit is pretty poor. It basically shows that they die at age 39 of osteoporosis. So if that's the way you want to go, eat a carnivore diet. If you want to reverse heart disease, reverse autoimmune disease, reverse type 2 diabetes, reverse chronic pain, lose weight, feel the best you've felt ever, do the thing that's best for the environment, best for the animals, best for the economy, eat a whole food plant-based diet. End of story.